farming efficiently. So I'm going to break here. It is 124, and we're going to go ahead and go with part 3, which I believe will be the last part of the Clover guide. And that is going to be building them, building a Clover team, or excuse me, how it looks when you're training them, and a couple of sample formations. While I'm saying that, please be aware that my formations are not by any means the very best. These are just simple examples. I'm pretty sure many people out there are much more efficient than I am when it comes to, efficient farming. So when it comes to stuff like that, please experiment. I'm just basically giving you, just a basic place to start. The reason why I mentioned on the first part of where to get all of for a certain element is because now in PvE, you can trigger Ace Burst if everybody is the same element. So keep that in mind. So let's go ahead and cover how does it look when you train a player and add clovers for them. Yeah, you have a perfect target here because of the first match we did earlier with Nebra here. So as you see here, he came out with 2 clovers. When you pick up a player, they're always going to have anywhere between 1, 2, or 3 clovers when you pick them up. Okay? All you got to do, just simply train him, and the amount of clovers will be added. You can see on the top of the screen where it shows the player, the icon will be flashing where the clover was to indicate that you'll be giving them that many clovers. And that's it. Easy peasy. When it comes to formations, this is the one that I use. This is just simply stuff that I farmed and something I made just for myself. It's a bit of a point of pride for me when I made this little team. It used to be all rivals, but afterwards, I needed more efficiency and speed, so I made some changes. And so to go from there. But I also have to go back and backtrack a little bit. Excuse me. There's 2 ways to build clovers for a character. Okay, one of them is just like I just showed you. You feed a character, you feed a dupe of themselves. Okay, feeding somebody else isn't gonna do that. You always gotta feed dupes. Okay, feeding dupes is gonna go ahead and build clovers. It doesn't matter if they're full superbed or not, so don't worry about that. The other way to build clovers, let's go ahead and grab somebody who isn't maxed out, like for example, Linea here, is to feed them the clown fairy. Okay, clown fairies are, I believe, 2 per. Yep, there it is. They'll give you 2 per. You generally want to do this. Okay, you generally want to do this on your legend. Okay, because everybody else can be farmed. 2 stars can be farmed easily. 3 stars can be farmed with enough time. 4 stars really aren't worth it unless you're farming a specific rival, like for example Didi or Kalkrish, because those are 2 of the best when it comes to PvP. I'm sorry, PvE, and well, I guess PvP also to some extent. For PvP and PvE content, those 2 are some of the most commonly used rivals. So it's definitely worth using them when it comes to stuff like that. So that's perfect. That's perfectly acceptable. But even then, you can farm them yourself. So just farm them. They're available for 2 weeks. Take the time out and farm them. All right. Clowns are strictly for legends or a waifu husbando 5 star. Nobody else. Stack them up, level it up, get that benefit. Because you already saw before, like I mentioned previously in the guide, a 6-star player is 25.45% to your clover drop as the ace, and a whopping 8.48% if they're on the field, which is almost 4 times as much as a 2-star player. Okay, so that covers the training portion. I was going to give you the examples of formations, and that'll go ahead and wrap this up. So here are my base formation for farming. Everybody here is 99 Clover. You can confirm that by just clicking here and going to Clover. As you can see here, everybody's 99. Oh yeah, by the way, you can also get more Clovers if the character has a skin, so that's nice too. So going from here, the strategy for this is mainly either OHKO or 2HKO in rapid fashion. For this team, for example, you have Didi for bonus starting spirit. You have Rudy here, who has a active that is similar to Nerizal's, who gains spirit when she passes. She also has a praise sentence to build up even more. So the plan is generally to have Rudy, who's pretty fast, get the ball first, active to Moritz, who goes ahead and does her active, which is a long shoot. And since I have her built up with 2 Ardor dribble stones, which gain spirit with an attack. She builds up a little more bonus spirit. The ball hits the GK. Either the GK dies or the ball comes back to us because that's how long shoots work. From there, you get the ball over the Hyun, who has a ignition catalyst, two ardor pass stones to build even more spirit. She does have a skill trust to build even more spirit there, and that should be more than sufficient. Also, including her 10% from her class passive, and then goes over to Vayne, who should be able to go ahead and finish them off. So that's the strategy for this one. Another formation that I use is this one right here. I have it here. I have it stored away in my Coliseum of Trials. It's actually pretty handy having that cloud storage. This formation here is still a work in progress, unfortunately, but you can do something similar to this where you'll have a couple of powerful players to quickly get through a stage, and then from there, like let me load this up real quick and I'll give you an example. So let's say, for example, you have this team loaded up, right? The basic premises of this team is to have Edward, who's pretty damn fast, go over, steal, and plow the opponent and get the ball to the front and get it over with, right? So the only real Clover player I have on this team right now is Felix and Newt. So this team is mainly intended to finish off Gold Match as quickly as possible. So let's say, for example, I'm at a point where my team is able to plow through Gold Match pretty efficiently. I'm going to be doing that once I get Melissa a little higher up. Once I get to like ST6, ST7, then we're good to go, and I'll probably switch back. So here's some changes that I can do to this team. Once Melissa is more invested, I can drop. Let's say I can go ahead and take more chances, right? Veronica here has a crit rate buff, but Van already has plenty of that. So let's say, for example, I can drop her because I don't need her, and I can just grab any character that has clovers. An example of that would be Muriel here. She's a 4-star. She has a Disturb, which is what Veronica also has. I can put her up front. Now I have more clover drops, and I still have my Disturb. You know, let's say Cash Love. I have Cash Love there. She's mainly there because she's a bit of a chain. I don't need her. Let's say, for example, I can remove her because I already know that I got the stage on lockdown because Dane and Edward can take care of the match easily enough. I can go ahead and remove Cash Love, add Dee. There you go. Now I have more clovers. I still have my bonus starting spirit, etc. My back line. Let's say, for example, that I'm confident that my mid lane is able to handle whatever's going on for gold match. That means I don't need Marilyn, who's there for a chain. I can remove her. I can replace her with somebody else that I farmed. Right? Let's say once I have Elise here maxed out in Clovers, her next boss match rotation, I could just put her in. I still get a global buff that helps Van. I get more Clovers. And let's say this girl right here, Thor, I don't need her anymore for whatever it is the situation. Same deal. I can remove her. I can put in somebody else. Let's say, for example, Belle, because I don't need Thor's global passive skill. I'm already in control. So that's an example of what you do. You make a team that is strong enough to brute force whatever it is you're trying to farm, and then from there, slowly but surely, you start replacing characters that are not needed with players that are going to increase your clover count, and thus lead you to more drops. Okay, you can do that with that's like I said, that's my gold farming formation. I'm still working on that because I just wanted to just experiment with it, see what else I can do. And then you can also do the same thing with I guess what you can call a boss killer team, because boss killer teams usually require a little more work, a little more effort. So I believe this is my boss killer formation. Belle's there, Muriel's there. I load this up right here. This is basically already pretty much well established. Bella's max clover. Edward, it doesn't have many clovers. I might clover him because of this. Shout outs to Kongi because she keeps bugging me to max him out. So I have him to go ahead and deal with things quickly. Belle's pretty fast herself, has a strong totem. Jury is max clover. So Muriel, like I mentioned before, she has her built-in disturb. Luca doesn't have much clover, but she's there because she has an ignition catalyst. But even then, I can change that too. If I'm confident that my Leventor, who has an LUQ, can one shot the boss anyway, then I can go into my team and I can swap out Luca for Hyun. Hyun still has an ignition catalyst, and because she has those bonus pass stones, she can still, get the ball over to Leventor and still get the kill. And because Leventor already has an LUQ and has a skill built in to lower their defense, etc., just like Disturb, then that's going to help him get his job done faster. My backline is already pretty much optimized when it comes to Clovers because I have Elizabeth, I have Felix, I have Dee Dee to make up for Belle, who has her active maxed out to go ahead and plow through opponents and probably try to active. That's okay because she already has, stuff to build spirit anyway. So it works out. And that's it. So that's some examples. Like I said, you can come up with your own. I know some players, for example, they like running a striker in the mid lane. For example, Vanchi or Lucid. People like running them in the mid for their gold farming matches, and it's pretty efficient. It's a lot faster for them anyway. And if you have a striker dedicated for that, then and you know for a fact that they can one shot the GK, which I believe is Zibroy, then you don't even have to do anything complicated. You can go ahead and actually take the points off of their active, and you'll get things done even faster. So keep that in mind. Like I said, experiment, see what you can do. It's all a matter of getting your team strong enough to clear the content you want to farm, and then stripping away the stuff that you don't need in terms of brute strength and adding clovers. So that wraps it up in terms of the clover guide. I have that broken down into 3 parts. I think that's concise enough. And then anything that I may miss or may have missed is going to be covered in the written portion, which this time I will put in the description. And I'm also going to post on the Reddit for Soccer Spirits. Yeah. So I'm going to switch back to this. And